Without a doubt, we live in difficult times. And it's in times like this that we need inspiration. We need God to speak to us and reaffirm the purpose of life, humanity, the purpose of our very life. Why are we alive now, and why should we get out of bed today? And the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes, written by King Solomon, the preacher, the son of David, gives us the meaning of life. Let's delve into it together. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 15 through 22. Verses 15 through 22 will finish out the chapter. Here's what Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says in the New American Standard. That which is has been already, and that which will be has already been, for God seeks what has passed by. Furthermore, I have seen under the sun that in the place of justice there is wickedness, and in the place of righteousness there is wickedness. I said to myself, God will judge both the righteous man and the wicked man, for a time for every matter and for every deed is there. I said to myself concerning the sons of men, God has surely tested them in order for them to see that they are but beasts. For the fate of the sons of men and the fate of beasts is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. Indeed, they all have the same breath, and there is no advantage for man over beast, for all is vanity. All go to the same place. All came from the dust, and all return to the dust. Who knows that the breath of men ascends upward, and the breath of beasts descends downward to the earth? And I have seen that nothing is better than that man should be happy in his activities, for that is his lot. For who will bring him to see what will occur after him? Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 15 through 22. While life is monotonous, according to chapter 1, verses 4 through 11, the wise and the fool both die, causing them to be forgotten, right? That's chapter 2, verses 14, 15, and 16. So with a viewpoint on life that focuses on the end, in other words, looking ahead, and dust, death comes for all. Thus, therefore, we should be happy in our current activities. That's chapter 3, verses 15 through 22. Consider the future, ahead, the viewpoint, death. This passage is depressing and discouraging, right? Anyway, the preacher, King Solomon, continuing the discussion on predestined time, the seesaw of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, this same time is irrelevant to God. That's verse 15, chapter 3, verse 15. God views time from an eternal perspective and as a transition from the previous idea about looking within and seeing eternity in humanity's heart. People's view of time, well, our view of time hits a wall at death. As the preacher looks around under the sun, right? That's the phrase, under the sun, under the sun. He observes injustice and disillusionment. Justice is perverted by wickedness, but God judges all, according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. Looking around, he witnesses the wrong qualities at inappropriate times. Verse 16. Where there should be justice, there is injustice. Where there should be goodness, there is wickedness. Everything is out of place and distorted. Injustice and inappropriate behavior express, well, disillusionment, doesn't it? Everything is wrong when we look people to people. When we look at our society, when we look at people and humanity, when we look at life from our own perspective, horizontally, in other words, looking vertically, looking up instead of side to side, looking vertically adds hope. But when we look to God, the wrong is not made right. God judges all, both righteous and wicked, according to verse 17. Right? We're talking about God's justice. And God's justice corrects all injustice and all inappropriate behavior. God deals with it. So when we look up to God, disillusionment transforms to hope in eternity. No, we do not like to talk about death. What about death? What about the end of time at the wall of death? Death is the ultimate leveling agent, as Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 14, 15, and 16 laments about the sage and the fool. The experiment and observations are under the sun, under the sun, under the sun, and therefore doesn't count spirituality, the afterlife, or immortality. Through horizontal observation, people looking at people and humanity and life, us just looking at ourselves, just scrutinizing life and death around him, people and animals die in the exact same way while being stuck in time and surrounded by bad examples that lead to disillusionment. The only conclusion is that God must be showing us that our existence is not better than the animals around us that struggle for life and consume each other. Verse 18. With the absence of God and spirituality, afterlife, immortality, the fate of people and animals are the same. Everyone dies. People and animals die with no discernible advantage to humanity. Therefore, futility. Right? That's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 19. All decay into dust. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 20. No one knows the result of death. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 21. Depressing, right? With the balanced time in God's hands from Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 8, and eternity in our hearts, Ecclesiastes 3, verses 9 through 14. Wrongness surrounding the human condition and death ahead for everyone, it is better to enjoy the immediate present. Right? I mean, that's what Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 22 is telling us. With everything in chapter 3 building toward it, seesaw of time, eternity in our hearts, everything around us is wrong and broken, death is ahead of us, it's better to enjoy the immediate moment. The better path is finding happiness and joy in today's activities. To look ahead as a viewpoint of life causes nothing but futility. Instead, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 22 tells us to enjoy today. Enjoy the present moment. Enjoy the present actions. I struggle with this so much. My head is always in the future. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, an ahead viewpoint. Death. Therefore, enjoy this moment. What a lesson for us. This topic is incredibly important, and we need time to think about the purpose of our individual lives. Why do I exist? And how can I make the most of the time that God has given me? If you're interested in delving into Ecclesiastes deeper, then I wrote a book in 2018. It's 50 pages. It's $1.98 on Amazon. It's for a Kindle, an e-reader, and it's called Search for Significance, an examination of Ecclesiastes. And I will put the link to this book on Amazon in the description below as an additional resource for you if you wish.